Hey everyone, welcome back. Get ready to dive into a topic that's both fascinating and empowering.
This is one of those areas where science and, let's say, personal growth really intersect.
Exactly. We're talking about manifestation, but not in the way you might think.
Right. We're not talking about some mystical force. This is about neuroscience.
We actually have a really insightful conversation to thank for this deep dive Lewis Howes's interview with neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart on the School of Greatness podcast.
It's a great listen. Dr. Swart really breaks down this idea of manifestation in a way that's both grounded and inspiring.
Okay, so for those who haven't listened to that episode yet, can you give us the TL, Doctor, what's the key takeaway here?
In a nutshell, you have more control over your reality than you might realize.
Okay, I like where this is going. But how? What's the science behind that?
It all comes down to this incredible thing called neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, right. We hear that word thrown around a lot these days. What exactly does it mean again?
Essentially, it means your brain is not fixed. It can change and adapt throughout your life based on your experiences, your thoughts, your actions.
So it's not like we're stuck with the brain we were born with. We can actually rewire it.
Precisely. And that's the really exciting part.
Because if we can rewire our brains, that means we can change our thought patterns, our habits, even our beliefs, all of which play a huge role in shaping our reality.
Exactly. And that's where Dr. Swart's four-step framework for manifestation comes in.
A four-step framework. Tell me more.
The first step is all about raised awareness.
Makes sense, right? You can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
about taking a clear, honest look at your life, where you are, how you got there, and what patterns or habits might be holding you back.
So it's not just about setting goals for the future. It's about understanding how our past experiences and current thought patterns are influencing where we are today.
Precisely. It's about recognizing those subconscious beliefs that might be sabotaging your efforts without you even realizing it.
Okay, so once we've raised our awareness, what's next? What's step 2 in this manifestation framework?
Step 2 is where things get interesting. Dr. Swart calls it being, not doing.
Being, not doing. That sounds a bit abstract. What does that even mean in a practical sense?
It's about recognizing that lasting change starts from within. It's about shifting your mindset, your beliefs, your overall way of being in the world.
So instead of frantically chasing after external goals, it's about cultivating the internal state of being that will allow those goals to manifest more naturally.
Exactly. It's about embodiment. It's about becoming the person you want to be, attracting the experiences you desire by aligning your internal world with your external goals.
Okay, I can definitely get behind that. But it also sounds like a lot of inner work, which can feel a bit daunting.
It can be, but it's also incredibly empowering. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as paying attention to your thoughts, challenging limiting beliefs, and practicing gratitude.
Right. Gratitude. Dr. Swart talked a lot about that. She called it a gateway to abundance. But isn't that just some feel-good self-help stuff?
It might sound that way, but Dr. Swart explained the actual neuroscience behind it.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell us more.
She talked about how gratitude actually shifts your brain chemistry.
Really?
Yeah. It moves you away from those stress hormones like cortisol and towards feel-good hormones like oxytocin and dopamine.
So it's not just about thinking happy thoughts, it's about creating actual physiological changes in the brain.
Exactly. And those physiological changes have a ripple effect on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Okay, so gratitude is a big one. What else can we do to cultivate this internal shift, this being state?
Well, Dr. Swart talked about the importance of belief, truly believing that you are worthy of receiving what you desire.
Because if you don't believe it, if deep down you don't think you deserve it, then you're essentially blocking it from coming into your life.
Exactly. It's like having one foot on the gas and the other foot on the brake. You're sending mixed signals to the universe.
So how do we cultivate that belief, that sense of worthiness, especially if we've got years of negative self-talk to undo?
That's where those daily practices come. In mindfulness, meditation, journaling, anything that helps you connect with yourself on a deeper level, challenge those limiting beliefs, and reprogram your subconscious mind for success.
Right, rewiring those neural pathways. Okay, so we've raised our awareness, we're working on our mindset, our beliefs. What's the next step? What do we do with all this internal work?
That brings us to step 3, deliberate practice.
So this is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. You've done the inner work. You've got clarity on what you want. Now it's time to take action.
So instead of just daydreaming about our goals, we need to take concrete steps towards making them a reality.
Exactly. It's about making choices every day that are in alignment with the reality you want to create, even if those choices feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar at first.
It's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
In a way, yes, because that's where the growth happens, outside of that comfort zone.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. So we've got raised awareness, not doing, deliberate practice. What's the final piece of this manifestation puzzle?
Step 4 is all about accountability.
Which basically means not letting ourselves off the hook when things get tough.
Precisely. It's about tracking your progress, holding yourself accountable to your goals, and making adjustments along the way.
Because manifestation isn't just about wishing and hoping, it's about actively creating the life you desire.
Exactly. It's a process. It takes effort, consistency, and a willingness to show up for yourself, even when it's hard.
So it's like anything else worth having in life, relationships, careers, health. It requires effort, dedication, and a willingness to do the work, both internally and externally.
Absolutely. And this is where Dr. Swart's insights into the power of our senses, specifically our sense of smell, come into play.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting, because when we talk about manifestation, we don't usually think about our sense of smell.
Right. But Dr. Swart explained how powerful a sense it is.
And this is where your chosen smell comes in. Think about it. When you said listener's chosen smell, it likely brought back some vivid memories, right?
Smell is like this direct line to our emotional and memory centers. It's incredibly powerful.
So what can we learn from that? How can we use this knowledge about smell to enhance our lives, maybe even boost our manifestation powers?
That's what we'll explore next. You know, when we were talking about gratitude earlier, I bet some pretty specific smells came to mind for you.
Oh, absolutely. Certain scents just have this incredible way of transporting us back to a specific time and place.
Exactly. And Dr. Swart explained that this is because smell is the only sense that has a direct connection to both the amygdala, which is responsible for processing emotions, and the hippocampus, which plays a key role in memory.
So it's like smell bypasses all the other sensory processing and goes straight to the emotional and memory centers of our brains. No wonder it's so powerful.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Dr. Swart talked about how this powerful connection between smell and memory could actually be used to enhance our cognitive function.
Wait, really? Just by smelling things?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. She talked about something called olfactory enrichment.
Olfactory enrichment. Sounds fancy. What is that?
Basically, it involves intentionally exposing yourself to a variety of scents. Think essential oils, flowers, spices, anything that engages your sense of smell.
Interesting. And how does that translate to better brain function?
Well, research suggests that engaging our sense of smell in this way, by exposing ourselves to a diverse range of scents, can actually strengthen those neural pathways associated with memory and cognition.
So instead of just lighting my usual lavender candle for relaxation, maybe I should be switching things up, exploring different scents, and giving my brain a workout at the same time.
Exactly. It's like cross-training for your brain.
I love that. Okay, so we've gone from rewiring our brains to smelling our way to better brain function. But it doesn't stop there, does it?
Not even close. Dr. Swart's conversation with Lewis Howes went even deeper into the fascinating world of our senses. They even touched on the idea that we might be able to sense things beyond our traditional 5 senses.
Okay, now we're getting into some woo-woo territory. I'm intrigued, though. Tell me more.
Well, she started by talking about those moments where you think of someone and then they call, or you have this weird feeling that something is about to happen and then it does.
Oh, I've totally had those moments. It's like a sixth sense or something. But is there any scientific basis for that?
It's a question that has fascinated scientists and philosophers for centuries. Dr. Swart brought up Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious.
The collective unconscious. Okay, for those of us who haven't brushed up on our Jungian psychology lately, what exactly does that mean?
Essentially, it suggests that there's a deeper level of consciousness that we all share, a kind of universal interconnectedness that transcends our individual minds.
So it's like we're all connected on some level, and those moments of coincidence or intuition are actually glimpses into that connection.
Exactly. And she even gave the example of the vivid dreams that so many people experienced at the start of the pandemic. It seemed like people all over the world, regardless of their circumstances, were having these intense, often anxiety-ridden dreams. It's as if there was a shared experience happening on a subconscious level.
Wow, that's fascinating. I definitely remember having some really strange dreams early on in the pandemic. It was like nothing I had ever experienced before.
Exactly. And that's what makes the concept of the collective unconscious so compelling. It suggests that our minds are capable of connecting and influencing each other in ways that we don't fully understand.
It's both amazing and a little bit creepy at the same time, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. But it also opens up a world of possibilities. If we can tap into this collective unconscious, if we're all connected in this way, then what else are we capable of?
That's the big question, isn't it? What else is possible?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are we capable of achieving if we could fully tap into that interconnectedness?
It's like we're only scratching the surface of what's possible.
And speaking of possibilities, Dr. Swart touched on another aspect of manifestation that often gets overlooked, the role of money.
Ah, money. It's a topic that often feels a bit taboo in these conversations about personal growth and spirituality, but it's such a big part of our lives.
It is, and Dr. Swart had a really interesting perspective on it. She challenged the idea that money is inherently good or bad.
Because it's not really about the money itself, is it? It's about what we do with it, how we use it.
Exactly. She sees it as a form of energy, a tool that can be used for either positive or negative purposes.
It's like any other tool, right? A hammer can be used to build a house or to break something. It all depends on the intention behind it.
Precisely. And when it comes to manifestation, she said it's not about obsessing over money or seeing it as the ultimate goal. It's about shifting our mindset from one of scarcity, I don't have enough, to one of abundance, there's more than enough to go around.
Because when we're coming from a place of scarcity, when we're constantly focused on what we lack, we're actually blocking abundance from flowing into our lives, aren't we?
Exactly. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already full. We need to first create space for abundance to enter our lives. And that starts with shifting our mindset.
So it's not just about wishing for more money. It's about cultivating a deep-seated belief that we are worthy of receiving abundance in all areas of our lives.
And then taking action from that place of worthiness, of knowing that we are supported, that the universe has our back.
So it's not about chasing money, but rather chasing purpose, chasing joy, chasing those things that light us up, trusting that the money will follow naturally.
Exactly. When we align our actions with our passions, when we're living in alignment with our purpose, the money becomes a byproduct of that alignment.
I love that. It's so freeing to think about money that way.
It really is, because it takes the pressure off. Instead of constantly chasing money, we can focus on what truly matters to us, trusting that the universe will support us in making it happen.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of mindset, of belief, of aligning our actions with our intentions. But how do we actually do that? What are some practical steps we can take to start manifesting the life we desire?
Well, Dr. Swart emphasized the power of daily practices, things like meditation, mindfulness, journaling, anything that helps us connect with our intuition, that stills the mental chatter and allows us to tap into that deeper wisdom that resides within each of us.
Because when we quiet the mind, when we get still, that's when we can hear that inner voice, that inner guidance system that's always trying to steer us in the right direction, right?
Exactly. And it's not always easy to quiet the mind, especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation. But the more we practice, the easier it becomes.
It's like building a muscle. The more we exercise that muscle of mindfulness, the stronger it becomes.
And the more easily we're able to access those states of clarity, of peace, of knowing that everything is happening exactly as it should.
Okay, so daily practices are key. What else?
Dr. Swart talked about the importance of surrounding ourselves with beauty, with nature. She said that spending time in nature actually has similar effects on the brain as psychedelics.
Really? I've heard about the potential benefits of psychedelics in terms of expanding consciousness and promoting neuroplasticity, but I had no idea that nature could have a similar effect.
It's pretty amazing. Being in nature, whether it's going for a walk in the woods, sitting by the ocean, or just spending time in your backyard, it helps to calm the nervous system, reduce stress, and enhance creativity.
It's like hitting the reset button on our brains.
Exactly. Yeah. And when we create that space, that sense of peace and clarity, we're more open to receiving inspiration, guidance, and those synchronicities that lead us towards our highest potential.
So it sounds like it all comes back to taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, creating a life that is in alignment with our values, our passions, and our purpose.
Absolutely. And trusting that when we do those things, when we prioritize our well-being and align our actions with our hearts, the universe will meet us halfway.
I love that. It's such a beautiful reminder that we are not alone in this journey, that we are supported, guided, and loved every step of the way.
And that the power to create a life we love truly lies within each and every one of us.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. I always learn so much from these conversations. What are some of the key takeaways you're walking away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is the reminder that we are far more powerful than we realize.
That we are not limited by our circumstances, by our past experiences, or even by our current understanding of what's possible.
Exactly. And that by embracing practices that nourish our minds, bodies, and spirits, by connecting with our intuition, and by trusting in the benevolent unfolding of our lives, we can create a reality that is beyond our wildest dreams.
Beautifully said. To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery. Remember, the power to create a life you love lies within you. Until next time, keep shining bright.